Hello Islamic friends, meet again with the Islamic Voice channel. Before we continue, it would be good for us to support this channel by clicking the subscribe, like, comment, and share buttons. The story of an atheist who fallen into the embrace of Islam. A young man from Pasadena, United States, Michael David Shapiro, embraced Islam after studying religions. Initially, he was an atheist, but he managed to prove that religion is not just about obeying teachings and all holy commandments. At first, I asked myself about the number of gods I need to believe in. However, I am unable to believe in more than one God. A God that is divided into two or more is usually weaker than a God that is one in number. If one God does not agree with God, others, of course, will raise discord between these gods. So I believe humans can only believe in one God, he said. But as an atheist, Michael's heart was tickled by one wise word: every design must have a designer. Starting from that wise word, Michael's eyes have been opened that God exists. I can't explain why. I can only feel it, said Michael. But believing is not enough because I need to know God through religion. But where should I start? Because there are thousands of religions where I have to narrow down the number, continued Michael. Because Michael believed in one God, he then studied religions that believed in only one God or monism. This will make it easier for me to find the right religion, he said. Michael did not need to study religions that have more than one God. Michael then tried to understand some concepts of the Abrahamic religions, namely Islam, Christianity, and Judaism. He conducted an in-depth study of the three religions. After going through the study and understanding of logic, Michael arrived at the teachings of Islam. Here, Michael admitted that he had no problems understanding it. He did not find any conflict in Islam. Michael found that Islam means obedience and surrender. The principles in Islam are one God, praying 5 times a day as a form of obedience to God, paying zakat, fasting in the month of Ramadan, and going on the Hajj if financially able. This concept was not too difficult for Michael to understand. Even the holy book of the Quran is very amazing and able to follow all times and eras. Many scientific evidences that have only recently been discovered have been explained in the Quran since 1,400 years ago, added Michael. Michael's bias towards Islam is also based on the fact that this religion is universal, a religion for all without distinguishing race, nation, skin color, language, and human origin. What amazed Michael even more was the name of the religion itself, Islam. The words were mentioned several times in the Quran. So it is true that Islam is the true religion, he said. After all the questions were answered without hesitation, this young man embraced Islam. I have found the truth. I have come out of the darkness and found the light of Islam, said Michael. Michael, no, the truth is only found in Islam. Michael David Shapiro is a Russian Jew. He used to not believe in God. His dream was to be a rock star, but now he works as a secretary and lives in an apartment. His search for identity began when he was 19 years old. One night, he intended to go to the kitchen and met his black friend. He asked his friend, "Can I have some vodka in the fridge tonight?" Unexpectedly, that meeting changed Michael's life drastically. The black friend he met in the kitchen was a Muslim, and he was the first Muslim Michael had ever met. With great curiosity, Michael invited the black man to talk about Islam, about everything Michael had heard about, such as the 5 daily prayers, jihad, and the figure of the Prophet Muhammad. Then their friend named Wade, a Christian, joined the conversation. So the three of them had a dialogue that night with Jews, Christians, and Muslims. It turned out we found many differences and many similarities between the three religions, Michael said. After that conversation, Michael's interests, which had previously only revolved around sex, drugs, and parties, changed completely. He began to be interested in seeking the truth, seeking God, seeking how to become his follower. At that time, Michael said, he started by asking himself simple questions like, how many gods are there really? Michael thought that there must be only one God. God would be stronger if there was only one. Because if there were 2 gods, if one of them had a different opinion, there would be conflict and strife. So I thought that God is one, Michael said. He also thought about the existence of God and analyzed the beliefs of atheists and other theists. I remembered the wise words, "Every design must have a designer." Starting from that wise word, my eyes were opened that God exists. "I can't explain why, I can only feel it," said Michael. The new things he discovered made Michael think that he had to be responsible for obeying the Creator, and that meant he had to embrace a religion. Another question followed, where would he start? Because literally there could be thousands of religions, and he needed to narrow that number down. The first step Michael took was to group the monotheistic religions, and that was in line with his belief that there is one God. He crossed out Buddhism and Hinduism from his list and circled 3 monotheistic religions, namely Islam, Christianity, and Judaism, because he is Jewish. Michael began to study Judaism first, starting from the concept of God, the prophets, the 10 prohibitions of God, the Torah, and about the Jewish spirit. One thing that caught Michael's attention and made him doubtful. He thought the idea of the Jewish spirit was not universal because if someone is born a Jew, then that person has a Jewish soul and must be a follower of Judaism. For Michael, such an idea is discriminatory. He believes that all humans are created equal. Why should someone who is born into a certain religion continue to embrace that religion, even if someone finds that the beliefs they adhere to are wrong? That was the question that came to Michael's mind, and he did not agree with the concept. Another thing that made Michael doubt Judaism: there is no clear concept of hell in Judaism. If the concept does not exist, why should someone do good or commit sin? If I am not afraid of severe punishment, then why should I be moral? Michael thought. Michael eventually left Judaism and turned to studying Christianity. This religion also made Michael retreat because of the concept of the Trinity in Christianity, namely the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. He argued, how can Christians claim to believe in only one God if they adhere to the concept of the Trinity? Michael also considers the history of Jesus in Christianity strange and unreasonable. In Christian doctrine, Jesus is the Son of God who must be killed to save humanity from the original sin committed by the prophet Adam. In Christianity, Jesus died to atone for the sins of humanity. The doctrine made Michael think that in Christianity, all human beings are born as sinners who do wrong things. That means a newborn baby is already a sinner because he does wrong things. What a strange doctrine. Because of one person's sin, all human beings must suffer. What moral message does such a doctrine convey? This kind of thinking doesn't make sense to me, said Michael. Michael then studied Islam. He found that Islam means obedience and submission. The principles of Islam are the one God, praying 5 times a day as a form of obedience to God, paying zakat, fasting in the month of Ramadan, and going on the Hajj if financially able. The concept that Michael found was not too difficult to understand. What Michael learned about Islam was nothing that contradicted his logic, including the holy book of the Quran with its amazing miracles and timeless teachings. Michael discovered scientific facts that had been explained in the holy book of the Quran since 1400 years ago. Of the many things that Michael learned about Islam through books and research, one thing that interested him the most was the word Islam, which is used as the name of the Islamic religion and is mentioned several times in the Quran. From the studies that I have done before, I did not find a single time the word Judaism is found in the Old Testament or the word Christianity in the New Testament. I wonder why I did not find those 2 words in those 2 books, Michael said. He then thought deeper to find the answer. The word Judaism can be separated into Judaism. Likewise, Christianity can be cut into Christianity. Who is Judah? Judah is one of the leaders of the Jewish tribe. So the name of the religion Judaism is taken from the name of a person. The same thing for Christianity, which is taken from the word Christ, the name for Jesus. Michael finally came to the conclusion that Christianity and Judaism are not mentioned in the scriptures because both names came from humans and not from God, while Islam is the name of a religion that came from God. Therefore, the teachings of Christianity and Judaism are not credible. At least from my perspective, both teachings are impure, illogical, and incomplete, Michael said. He continued, Islam is the only name of a religion mentioned in the Quran. This means a lot to me. I realized that I had to follow the teachings of Islam. Then I chose to become a Muslim. I have found the truth. I have come out of the darkness and found the light of Islam, Michael said. Every design has a designer. Even an atheist finally chooses Islam. Michael David Shapiro is a young man from Pasadena, United States, and an atheist who finally converted to Islam after studying the Abrahamic religions, Islam, Christianity, Judaism. For a long time, not believing in God became an atheist. Finally made me ask myself about the number of gods I need to believe in. But it crossed my mind, if there are many gods, of course one God disagrees with another God, of course it will cause conflict between these gods. So I believe that humans should actually only believe in one God, he said, as quoted by Islam. But as an atheist, Michael's heart was tickled by one wise word: every design must have a designer. Starting from that wise word, Michael's heart was opened that God exists. But believing is not enough, because I need to know God through religion. But where should I start? Because there are thousands of religions where I have to narrow down the number, Michael continued. Then Michael believed that he did not need to study religions that have more than one God. Michael then tried to understand some concepts of the Abrahamic religions, namely Islam, Christianity, and Judaism. He conducted an in-depth study of the three religions. After going through the study and understanding of logic, Michael arrived at the teachings of Islam. Here, Michael admitted that he had no problems understanding it. For him, the concept of the 5 pillars of Islam and Islam, which means obedience and surrender, for him is not too difficult to understand. What amazed Michael even more was the Quran. He said that many scientific evidences discovered recently were explained in the Quran 1,400 years ago. After all the questions were answered, without hesitation, this young man embraced Islam. I have found the truth. I have come out of the darkness and found the light of Islam, said Michael. Michael David Shapiro confessed to the faith after studying 3 religions. Michael David Shapiro decided to become a Muslim after studying 3 monotheistic religions. His search began when he was 19 years old. Before that, he had no definite belief in his God. His goal in life was only to become a rock star. His interest began to shift from sex and drugs to the search for truth. In his search, he asked himself, how many gods are out there? I think only one. Knowing that God is divided is weaker than the Almighty God. Considering that if one God disagrees with the other, there may be arguments and hostility. One God is my choice. Zrania, he explained, as reported by onislam.net, on Thursday, 17th of July, 2014. He decided to start his search by analyzing the existence of God for both atheists and theists. In his search, he remembered the quote, "Every design has a designer." Starting from this quote, he was convinced that God must exist. This newfound passion was accompanied by a sense of responsibility to follow the creator of the world. Then he asked himself where to start. Which God? He decided to go to the monotheists, because they recognized the one God. He started with the Jews because he was a Jew. In his teachings, Jews have prophets, the 10 Commandments, the Torah, and the Jewish soul. The Jewish soul is the teaching he questions. If someone is born a Jew, then they have a Jewish soul, and they must follow Judaism. So God made Jewish souls, Christian souls, and Muslim souls, and Hindu souls. I thought everyone was created equal. So because someone is born into a religion, that means by God's command they have to stay in it. Even if people believe it is false, I don't agree with that, he said. In addition, there is no clear concept of hell in Judaism. He questioned why humans become good and humans are not sinful. For that reason, why must there be strict sanctions and humans must be moral? This is what bothers him. Then he found Christianity, the basis of monotheistic religion, the one God. However, in Christianity, there is the concept of Trinity. If added together, there are 3 gods, namely God, the Son, and the Virgin Mary. His logic does not accept this. Whatever the explanation, similarity, comparison, and analogy, he cannot accept it. In Christianity, the main doctrine is that Jesus died for the sins of mankind, and he did it because mankind was tainted by sin. Jesus Christ, the Son of God, must be killed to save mankind from hell and heal mankind from sin. So Christianity says we are all born sinners? Sin is when you do something wrong? Then he says a 1-year-old baby is sinning or doing something wrong? Okay, that's weird, so based on one person's actions, all humans should suffer? What's the moral of the story? Punish the entire group if one person deviates? Why would God create those rules? That doesn't add up to my logic, he said. Next is Islam. Islam means submission. The core beliefs of the religion, he said, are one God, worshiping 5 times a day, giving 2.5% of annual charity, fasting during Ramadan, and traveling to Mecca for the Hajj for those who are financially able. He thought nothing contradicted his logic. There is nothing contradicting my logic here. The Quran is a book with all these fascinating miracles and timeless wisdom. Many scientific facts were only discovered recently, but were written down 1,400 years ago in this book. Islam also became an interesting religion to study. Furthermore, he found dozens of verses in the Quran that agreed with modern science and technology. In addition, there were many verses that caught his attention. Islam. Many verses explain about the religion called Islam. This is what he did not find in the holy book of previous religions. He also analyzed that Judaism comes from the words Judah and Ism. Then who is Judah or Yehuda, he said. He was only a Hebrew tribal leader when God revealed his message to mankind. So this religion was named by someone. Then moving on to Christianity. Christianity comes from the words Christ and Eanity. Christ was the one who delivered God's message to the Jews. So this religion was also named by someone. The names Christianity and Judaism are not written in the Bible. Man named them, not God. The idea that God would ordain a religion for mankind to follow without a name is impossible for my mind to accept, he said. At that point, both Christianity and Judaism lost their credibility as pure, logical, and complete religions, at least from my perspective, he said. For him, Islam is the only religion that includes the name Islam in its holy book. This is what made him aware and decided to become a Muslim. I know the truth. I have come out of the darkness. I have come to the light, he concluded.